All right, let's do this thing. I'm tired, man, but we're gonna get a video in. So I just wrapped up the last day of grabbing content and also doing some live coaching sessions with one of my clients out here in Bogota. And before I got on the flight to come out here, I had this interesting experience. I had a wave of overwhelming anxiety that started to build up inside of me. And it was because I was nervous about how I was going to perform. I decided to make sure we got behind the scenes of this entire interaction. So I brought one of my boys, Walter, who is a sick videographer, absolute titan with the camera. And when the Uber was on the way, I started feeling this real anxiety about how I'm going to be on camera. What am I going to say? How am I going to come across? How are people going to see me, right? Like, are people going to think that I'm a fraud, right? And I really sat with that feeling for a second. And after a while, I was able to let it go. And I questioned that feeling. I said, why do I feel like I need to perform? And I just asked myself that question. I didn't have the answer immediately, but I asked myself that question. And I realized that the way for me to actually get out of that mindset and that headspace was for me to say, okay, I'm going to go the complete opposite. Instead of performing, I'm going to be radically open and radically honest and document everything from the wins, the successes, the fuck ups, the things that happen. And guess what? Things did fuck up. Things did happen. We did go through hiccups over these past 2 days, but we were able to navigate them well. And it wasn't until this morning where I was reading through one of my earlier journal entries that I actually had already written the answer down. And that's why I recommend everybody journal and pick up that habit, because what you'll come to realize is that the answers to the questions that you have about yourself, about where you need to go, direction that you need to have, clarity, all of these different things, they're already within you. And when you can journal consistently, you'll find yourself actually writing out those answers and you may not even realize it. So I went back and I saw in my journal that I talked about how I was not operating at the standard, the character, and the habits and beliefs of the ultimate version of myself. And then I realized, oh man, that's what it was. Rather than me operating, I was focused on performing. And that was what caused that anxiety, because performing is something that you do. Operating is something that you are. Performing is something that you do for a particular time, at a particular place, for a particular reason. But operating is something that is constant. It's automatic. It always happens. And I had to really, really ask myself, okay, why was I trying to perform for this particular behind the scenes of the live coaching and the content capture for my client? And I realized I was putting way too much expectation on what the outcome was supposed to be, on what I thought other people would think is a good outcome. And that closed me off to opportunities in the moment that I would have otherwise not been able to see, right? So when I was able to let go of that, opportunities started to flow, and I started to actually identify ways that I can coach my client at a higher level being there in person, because I was much less worried about how I'm showing up on camera, and I was more focused on him in the present moment, not only capturing his content, but also making sure that I can coach him at a higher level because we're in the same proximity. And it really allowed me to see how important it is to work on yourself before you work on the business. And me and my client Antoine, we were talking about this. So shout out to you, Antoine, if you're watching this. But this is one of the things for me that I had to really start to think. I need to get very aware and very clear of the different intricate facets of my life where I am having a loss of clarity, or I'm questioning things. I don't have answers to things. And I got to work on myself more than I work on the business. And I started to realize that, okay, where does all of that stem from, right? Like, why do I not have the answers to a particular thing? Why did I feel like I needed to perform? And it was twofold. It was one that I wasn't operating, right? Which is truly from my core, from my authenticity. But it's because there was a lot of noise. I was allowing my mind to get caught up in the noise of things outside of myself, the noise of what are other people going to think, the noise of how am I going to show people and prove to people that I am what I say I am. And that was one of the things for me that made me recognize society is literally programmed for us to be consumed by noise and focused on noise. And when you do that, you don't realize that the answer that you're looking for is already there. It's just under layers and layers and layers and layers of noise. And when you can identify that, you really start to say, okay, let me do an audit on my life, on different aspects of my life, and figure out what is noise and what is truly signal for me. What is the true signal that's trying to come through that's getting static across it because of all this noise? And that is the difference that I've been making within my life. So now, when I move forward, not only in my business, but when I think, I ask myself, is this noise? Is this thought related to noise? I try to audit my behavior on social media, the things that I consume, even on YouTube. Because, YouTube is considered a better platform, right? Or that, at least that's what I used to tell myself. It's not as bad as Instagram. It's not as bad as TikTok. I can learn a lot more. But even that can become noise. And that can become the most dangerous type of noise because you trick yourself into thinking that you're learning more. But in actuality, you're just creating more noise and more confusion because you can't pick a pathway, which is aligned with the signal that's already within you. And I even had to tell myself, okay, when I hop on YouTube now, there are only a handful of creators that I need to listen to or I need to watch videos from. And I even looked up how to tailor my YouTube homepage. Unfortunately, you can't do it, but I tried to figure out how to only show a specific number of creators because I'm like, those creators are aligned with the signal that's within me. So I need to just focus on watching their videos and not get caught up in the distractions of all of the suggested videos and the recommendeds and all these other things that can just take your attention in any direction. And I think that's the biggest problem that we are facing in this digital age is our attention gets hijacked at every single point. It's like this is literally designed to hijack attention, right? The system is literally designed to hijack your attention. And when your attention gets hijacked, your attention gets fixated on noise. It gets fixated on distraction. It gets fixated on the things that are not aligned with the signal that's already within you. And that's why I'm such an advocate for journaling, because it allows you to reflect. It allows you to get back in tune with that signal. And you'll realize that over a course of time, over a period of time, you'll be able to go back and read your journal entries and see not only where you were at in that moment and not only what your headspace was in, but you'll be able to extract answers that you already had to questions that you have in the current moment. And it was a crazy unlock for me because I had that realization this morning and it gave me so much just tranquility, so much just calm. And it allowed the last day of me being in person with my client, with Antoine, to be very effective. Despite us having to navigate certain challenges, right? Despite us not being able to record in public as much as we had wanted to, we were still able to execute effectively and also follow the bridge of incidents that transpired today. There were a lot of things that happened that we didn't anticipate to happen, but they actually worked out for the better. And that all comes from not being consumed by the noise. Because if I wasn't able to have that realization and able to align with the signal that's already within me, that's authentic, one little mishap, and then now your mind is just fixated on that and you're creating more noise, right? Instead of actually seeing the experience for what it is and taking what you need from it to actually move forward effectively. And I was actually explaining this to Antoine too, because what happened to us was, it kind of frustrated him a little bit. So I was even trying to reframe it for him. I was like, bro, this is actually a multi-million-dollar opportunity for us to step into the end state, for us to step into the versions of ourselves that we're pursuing and operate from that higher level, right? Operate, keyword operate, not perform like we're that person, but operate as that person because that's who we are. Don't perform like, operate as. So it got me thinking even deeper, right? Deeper layers, because all of this does tie into business, but it ties into all facets of life. And not only does it tie into all facets of life, but it gives you a sense of groundedness, a sense of calmness, a sense of certainty that you're going to be able to navigate the current situation that you are going through. And when you can get aligned with the signal within, things stop becoming so stressful. Things stop becoming so, stop putting so much pressure on things. You stop having so much expectation for how things should go. And then you can allow yourself to really get into flow. You can allow yourself to really experience what the world has out there for you, the opportunities that want to come to you, right? I think a lot of times we mess ourselves up. We get in our own way.